Hello, I'm back here to read Here the Whole Time by Victor Martins, and a lot's been going on. I know it's been a really long time since I read. Say that every time. It's probably what's going to be happening for good. Enjoy. One of the things I hate the most about polite society is when someone who doesn't even know you starts a conversation about the weather. Pretty chilly out there, eh? Looks like rain's coming, doesn't it? Good lord, it's a scorcher. But right now, I need to be that awful kind of person because I can't ignore the fact that yesterday I went to bed chilly and today I woke up in hell. It is so hot. The sunlight pokes through the window early in the morning, burning my face, and there's no way I'm going to fall back asleep. When I wake up, Caio isn't in the bedroom anymore. I get out of bed with all the excitement of someone who's just woken up in a pizza oven, and when I get into the living room, I find Caio and my mom slouched on the flowered couch, each holding a glass of lemonade. The ceiling fan spins lazily overhead, not making a difference. Good lord, it's a scorcher, my mom says. I let out a lazy moan because it's the best I can do in this situation. The morning news is on TV, and the reporter shows data about how today might be one of the hottest winter days in our state since 1996. I grab a glass of lemonade in the kitchen, and when I come back into the living room, I end up sitting on the floor because it seems coolish, and also because it's impossible to sit on a couch without touching both Kaio and my mom at the same time. Mixing my sweat with theirs doesn't seem like the best idea. The ice I put in my lemonade melts in 2 seconds. For a few moments, the three of us are silently focused on the TV, letting out an occasional sigh. The news anchor introduces a segment about what to do with your children during the school break, and the suggestions are the same as always: summer camps, movie theaters, public pools. But my heart stops beating during the last part, because the TV shows a group of kids getting all wet and having a good time, and Kaio's face opens up with a huge smile like someone who just had the best idea ever, and I feel my sweat drip down harder because I know exactly what he's about to say. Want to go to the pool? He says. Actually, he shouts it. My mom chokes on her lemonade because she knows me well. She knows there's nothing in this universe that can drag me to the pool. But for a second, she seems to forget about that and completely ignores my freedom to make my own decisions. Sorry, Kaio, I have a lot of work piled up. Can't even think about having fun, but the two of you are on vacation, so go enjoy your day. And after dropping that bomb, she gives me two taps on the shoulder, gets up, and walks to the kitchen. Kaio gets up as well. And I end up standing, too, because it makes no sense to sit by myself on the living room floor. But considering that the alternative is going to the pool, I wouldn't mind just staying on the floor. Kaio's level of excitement is comparable to my level of despair. He dashes into the kitchen, and I follow because I want more lemonade. Can I invite my friends? Kaio asked my mom, almost jumping up and down with excitement. Which friends? My mom asks, but with curiosity, not suspicion. Becky. Felipe missed her yesterday, and her girlfriend, Melissa. I hope that's okay. I mean, lesbians? My mom yells in a terrified voice, feigning surprise, and then laughs out loud. No problem at all. You know, I was almost a lesbian myself for a while in college. Caio and I go silent, absorbing this information, and then he runs out to grab his phone, leaving my mom and me alone in the kitchen. I muster all the irony I have inside me and condense it into 2 words. Thanks, Mom. She kisses my forehead in the way that she always does, but in this case I see it as an act of true love, since, in case you forgot, I have been sweating non-stop this entire time. Then she says, in a very soft voice only I can hear, Son, the opportunity train only passes by once. Go enjoy your day. I have no idea what she's talking about. I stalk out of the kitchen in an attempt to make a dramatic scene, but it doesn't work well because my mom starts laughing at me. She might be able to make me go to the pool, but she can't make me go in. About 30 minutes later, Becky and Melissa are at our place. The two of them are polar opposites. While Becky arrives totally confident, chatting nonstop, and calling my mom girlfriend after talking to her for literally 1 minute, Melissa is very shy. Her skin is very pale, her hair is very long, and blonde, has some pink on the tips. She might be the thinnest person I've ever seen. Her arms are bony, her legs are long, and I think whoever came up with the term negative belly had actually just met her. She's a very good looking girl. Good looking, like those models who have big eyes and gap teeth. Hey, my name is Felipe, I say, unsure of whether I should wave, shake her hand, or go in for a hug. I do all three at the same time, and the result is pretty clumsy. Nice to meet you, I'm Melissa. Or Mel. Or but never Melly. Please don't ever call me Melly. She says with a smile, and then I see that there's definitely a gap between her front teeth. Officially a model. Caio and Becky won't stop talking for 1 second, and my mom offers the girls some lemonade, and it feels like there's a party in our living room. While we waited for Becky and Melissa, Caio put on some shorts and a tank top and applied sunscreen. I put on shorts, a t-shirt, and a Pokemon hat I got when I was a kid. Surprisingly, it still fits my head. I never wear tank tops. I don't like showing my arms in public. I feel as if I were attacked by two hippos, one from each side, and that if they're still hanging from my arms, swinging from side to side when I walk. My arms are the hippos, in case you find this image hard to recreate in your head. I get a bag and shove sunscreen, a water bottle, 3 comic books, and a novel in there. My plan is basically to sit and read my stuff and answer, in a sec, every time someone asks me when I'm going to get in the water. It's not the most ingenious plan, but trust me, it tends to work. At a last resort, I can pretend that I need to go to the bathroom or run out screaming, "This is a free country and no one can make me," if things start to go south. Are you all well protected? My mom asks. Yes, the four of us all respond at once, like the audience of a game show. Now, let's get out here. I'm ready to dive until my toes turn into prunes, Becky says, and I find it equal parts hilarious and gross. All the kids in the building are out of school, and it's the first sunny day in months. The pool is obviously crowded. There are people running everywhere, boys and girls, diving and splashing around, and endless screaming matches. I regret not having packed earbuds too. The pool area is surrounded by tables with umbrellas, chaise lounges, and plastic chairs. We grab the last remaining vacant table and, one by one, place our junk on top of it. Becky is wearing one of those beach dresses that aren't really dresses. I don't know what the official name is, but you know what I mean. In a quick flourish, she sweeps it off and is suddenly wearing nothing but her bikini. Hear a muffled laugh coming from a nearby table where one of my neighbors is sitting, wearing a big hat on her head and tanning lotion all over her body. She makes a comment I can't quite hear, but another woman responds without trying to be discreet. Some people really don't have any sense, do they? Then the two of them share some more high pitched laughter. It pisses me the fuck off because I'm an expert in laughter and mean remarks. They're talking about Becky, who's fat and wearing a bikini. I want to go punch my neighbors and hug Becky at the same time, but it doesn't seem to faze her. Good thing my body isn't here to please anyone, isn't it? She says in a much louder voice than necessary. The whole complex must hear her, and I think that it's just great. Then Becky walks around the water as if she's strutting around a catwalk and makes a perfect dive into the pool like a mermaid. I'm relieved that she didn't take offense to my neighbor's comment, proud that she killed it with her dive, and embarrassed because I would never have the guts to do the same. You're not coming? Caio asks, bringing me back from my imaginary scene in which I award Becky a 10 out of 10 for her dive. And when I look to the side, I almost have a meltdown. Forget everything I said about Caio and pajamas, because now things have reached a different level. Caio in his Speedo. I'll try to be brief on this subject because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, but I can promise that the view is pretty impressive. His tan body has all the right curves, the yellow Speedo perfectly hugging all the places they need to hug. Caio isn't totally ripped in random places like the protagonist of an adult romance novel, but everything about him is distributed in just the right way. It's hard for me to pick a favorite, and yet I immediately create a mental top three: thighs, shoulders, and butt. In a sec, I say, trying to gather some sense of composure. Caio smiles and makes a perfect dive, too. I feel frustrated because when did everyone learn how to dive? When I sit on the plastic chair and pick out a comic book from my bag, I realize Melissa didn't go into the pool either. Want a comic book? I offer because it seems like the polite thing to do. She shakes her head and I try to focus on my reading, stopping every 3 seconds to watch Caio swim. You're wild about him, aren't you? Melissa says. No, we're friends, is my answer. That's what my ex-boyfriend used to say. We were together for almost 3 years. Boyfriend? So, before Becky, I mean, I say, fumbling for words. The word you're looking for is bisexual, she answers with an ironic laugh. I feel like an idiot, but Melissa lightens the mood by giving me a light punch on the shoulder. We're talking about you and Caio. Don't change the subject, she says with a smile. You're not going in the pool? I ask, desperately trying to change the subject. In a sec, she answers, and I know she isn't going to. Those of us who use in a sec as code for never in a million years understand each other. To be honest, I feel like asking why she'd rather stay here and melt in this heat when she's thin and can go in and out of the pool whenever she wants, and no one would make fun of her for it. If I were skinny, I'd just walk around everywhere being thin. But of course, I don't ask the question because I've already reached my daily limit of embarrassing conversations with total strangers. All right, give me one of those comics, she says. I hand her the latest issue of Wonder Woman that I just bought. An hour goes by. An hour of silence between Melissa and me. An hour of Becky alternating between diving and floating. An hour of stolen glances at the phenomenon that is Caio and his Speedo, taking place right before my eyes. The sun is getting stronger, and several worried moms start dragging their children away. The pool isn't as loud anymore, and on a couple of occasions I even enjoy the heat on my legs and on the back of my head. Hey nerds, Becky yells, splashing water at us. We're close enough to the water that we can talk, but far away enough not to be in her splash radius. When are you coming in? Caio asks. When I look at him, he has a flamingo floaty on his head. Yeah, really. It's a kid's float toy, but the kind you put around the waist. Of course, it doesn't fit around his waist, but it fits perfectly his head. Whose flamingo is that? I ask, trying to change the subject, and also because I want to know whose flamingo it is. Some kid left it behind. I'm taking care of it temporarily. His name is Harry, Caio says. Potter? I ask. Styles, he answers, breaking into a One Direction dance that makes me laugh. That's when I notice Becky has become serious. She gets out of the pool and walks up to our table. She gives Melissa a quick kiss on the lips, and I look around to see if my gossipy neighbors saw it. Unfortunately not. Hello, dearie, she says, and I crack a smile because I've never heard anyone call someone dearie before. The two of them start talking, and I can't hear all of it because Melissa's voice is really soft. I can only gather what Becky is saying because apparently she wasn't born with the ability to whisper. The conversation goes more or less like this. It's just us here. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Shh, 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 shh. I just want to enjoy the day with you. Shh, 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 shh. You are the most beautiful girl in the world. Shh. I mean it, woman. Fine. And then Melissa gets up, having been convinced to go into the water. She takes off her flip-flops, but then hesitates before taking off her little beach dress. What are those things called anyway? All of a sudden, she takes it off in one sweeping motion and starts walking toward the pool. And then I see why she didn't want to take off her clothes. Melissa's wearing a one-piece, but it can't cover her entire body. Her shoulders are covered in acne and scars from the acne that was once there. Her ribs stick out against her swimsuit, as if this were covering a birdcage. And in the middle of her breasts I can see a long vertical scar. Melissa doesn't dive into the pool like Becky and Caio did, but she enters slowly, using the little stairs that almost nobody ever uses, and grimaces when her body comes in contact with the cold water. Becky goes in right after her and starts swimming around Melissa until they're face to face. Their eyes meet and Becky whispers in "I love you" that I can't hear from here where I'm sitting, but I understand anyway, because I've always been great at reading lips. Then when I'm just grinning like a fool because this is one of the most beautiful things I've seen in the last few days. In this moment, I've come to understand three things. 1. Even though she's thin, Melissa also feels insecure. Being thin is not a prize you win in the lottery of life that guarantees eternal happiness. 2. I've watched enough rom-coms and have attended enough therapy sessions to know that my happiness cannot depend on another person. And yet, I still wish I had someone to call me dearie and convince me to come into the pool because they tell me they love me in a soft voice, in a way you can only hear from up close. And three, the person I wish were calling me dearie and saying they love me in a low voice is playing with an inflatable flamingo named Harry Styles and is probably oblivious to everything that just happened here. Caio, Becky, and Melissa spend the entire day in the pool. My mom brings us sandwiches and juice for lunch. I get to read all my comics and the first few chapters of the novel I brought, a sci-fi about dinosaurs and robots. And then the sun starts going down, and I'm exhausted, even though I did a whole lot of nothing all afternoon. It must be the heat. The three of them decide to get out of the water and go back home. My heart is torn. Part of me is happy because I can't stand to sit around anymore, but the other part will miss watching Caio in his Speedo. We collect our things and go back upstairs. My mom insists on having Becky and Melissa over for dinner, but the two of them have plans for the evening and politely decline the invitation. We'll see you again tomorrow, Becky tells Caio before waving goodbye, and that makes me happy. First, because I know how happy it makes Caio to spend time with his best friend. You can tell from the look on his face. He looks like a Labrador retriever on a road trip, his head sticking out the window and tongue hanging out. And second, because, in a way, I feel like part of the group. Even when I'm just watching from far away, I feel like they see me. When Becky makes a joke, Caio looks at me to see if I'm laughing. When Caio said something silly, Becky looks at me before rolling her eyes. I feel like I belong, and it feels good. All right, let's find a time. Mel, how long are you staying? Caio asks. Only until Sunday, just another couple days, she answers, and Becky's mouth curves down in a sad face. Then, the ritual of group farewells begins, as awkward and as messy as expected. Becky hugs Caio and kisses his cheeks while Melissa does the same with my mom. Then they go on, Melissa and Caio and Becky with me, and suddenly Becky is hugging Caio again and saying, "Oops, I've already said goodbye to you," and everyone is lost and talking all over one another. Melissa takes this opportunity to give me a strong hug, stronger than what's typically expected when hugging someone you've known for less than a day. Then she whispers in a very low voice to my ear, "Don't be silly, he's wild about you too." And I let out a nervous laugh as if to say, "What are you talking about, girl?" But Melissa just smiles at me and takes off down the hallway, holding hands with Rebecca. They're so different from each other, but when they're together like this, walking in the same pace, they seem like the coolest pair in the world. When night comes, I put on my Batman pajamas again and feel two questions thrumming through my head. What the heck was Melissa talking about? I know she meant Caio, I'm not a moron, but where'd she get the idea he's into me? I wonder if it's real, official intel, or if Mel is a sensitive person who can infer people's intentions, because if it's the latter, she's wrong. And two, how many times can I wear the same pajamas without washing them? They're not like regular clothes that you wear throughout the day, but they still stay on your body for hours, and it was hot last night. But I checked and they don't smell bad. They still smell brand new, actually. Is it customary to own two pairs so that you can wear one while the other is in the laundry? Because if that's the case, I could get myself a Robin version, which isn't a bad idea, actually. When I get to my room, Kaio is already in his bed, reading The Two Towers. That's when I notice he looks even better after day in the sun. His skin is even tanner now, and his lips are rosier. I feel like throwing myself on top of him and asking my first question. But since I can't really ask, "Is it true what Melissa said, that you're wild about me?" I ask question number two. How many sets of pajamas do you think the average person owns? Kyle laughs and closes his book, putting a bookmark on the page he was reading. I own three, he answers. I own one, I say, hoping he's forgotten about the beige PJs. And since I don't know what else to say, I turn off the lights and lie in my bed, feeling my back hurt a little bit from all the sun. PJs are like our best friends, Kaio said. They need to make us feel comfortable, and you don't need a bunch. Nice metaphor. How many best friends do you have? I ask, and it takes Kaio 2 seconds to answer, as if he was going all through his friends in his mind. I think just Becky. Melissa is cool, but I don't know her very well. I can't call her a good friend. I've had more friends at school at one point, but they started drifting away as it became more obvious that I was gay. He says the last word in a lower tone of voice, as if it were still a secret. What about you? Who are your best friends? I should have anticipated Caio would ask the question back, but I'm caught by surprise. I don't have a best friend. Even when I was a kid, I didn't have all the issues I have today. I didn't have a best friend. Classmates, maybe. Some cousins who would come to visit once in a while, but never a friend who would listen to all I had to say. Caio was the first one to do that. But of course, I'm not about to say, you, Caio, you are my best friend, because I don't want to sound desperate. I also can't say, friends, I have none, because that would be even worse. So I do what anyone else in my situation would. My best friend moved to Canada last year for school. We still talk, but not as much. I lie. That's sad. What is his name? Caio asks. Jake. I blurt out the first name that comes to mind, which, by the way, is the worst name I could have picked. A Brazilian Jake? That's fun, Caio says, and I hear the suspicion in his voice. His mom is American. He was born in Michigan and moved here when I was 3. When he was 3. His family is also moving around because his dad sells airplanes, I say. Oh, I see, says Caio in the voice of someone who has just heard the most unabashed lie in history. Jake doesn't exist, I admit with a sigh. Caio laughs and I feel like an idiot. Lipe, it's fine, he says. We could be each other's best friends. That way you don't have to lie when people ask. After hearing something like that, I'd normally go into a never ending spiral about how Caio wants to be my friend and tweet something about being friend zoned or something. But today there's no crisis because that was exactly what I wanted to hear. But since I'm addicted to bringing myself down, I don't miss the chance. I've never been anyone's best friend, so I might not be the right guy for the job. You're doing great, Caio says. Sitting around under the sun the whole day so I can go to the pool when you'd rather be anywhere else. That's a best friend move. I'm sorry I didn't go in the water. Thanks for being there anyway. And that is the end of day 8. I hope you enjoyed. I know I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm not very good at reading out loud. So if you're still here, hope you enjoyed regardless. And I'll see you in day 9. Enjoy. Bye.